If things could have been different, should have been different, would have been different, they would have been different. If you could have done better, if you could have done something else, you would have. It's like getting on the yoga mat and bending forward to try to touch your toes and realizing at a certain point in time, wow, today I can touch my toes. I'm so glad. I'm so grateful. But I wish I could have done this 10 years ago. If I could have done this 10 years ago, imagine where I could be now. Well, I'd be putting my hands flat on the ground. I'd be putting my forehead right on my shins. I'd have this unbelievable openness in my body. If only I could have. But that is not the way that things unfolded. That is not the way that your karma blossomed into who and how you are today. Who and how you are today is perfect, divine. You're in touch with your divine core, your divine self. And that divine self is perfect, if only the mind can step out of the way. I want to welcome you to In the Circle here with me and with everyone. This is a podcast that's dedicated to answering very practical and real life questions about the human journey, particularly as seen through the lens of addiction, a very expanded perspective on addiction, recovery, a very expanded view of recovery. And we look at every aspect of the human condition through these lenses. Ultimately, what we wish for ourselves is what we wish for everyone, everywhere. Peace of mind, strength, healing in the body, the fulfillment of our mission as individuals, as families, as a collective, that we're moving always toward love, moving out of addiction, patterns of belief and behavior that no longer serve us. Always on this journey of exploring, of seeking, we call it the path of discovery. So always being willing to be a student, always a student first before anything else. Learn, humble, approachable, compassionate. These are the things that we're working on in our community at Recovery 2.0, and it's the things that we're working on here at In the Circle. And today, I'm honored, as always, to sit in this circle with the greater collective throughout the world, and in particular with the individuals that have come here today to ask a question, to bring an inquiry into the circle for all of us to consider. Raiza, first of all, welcome to In the Circle. I'm so glad you're here. Tell us where you are and your name, and then let's hear your inquiry.
I'm right now living in Mexico, Tulum, and my name is Raiza Redvika, and Tommy call me Raiza, and some people call me Redvika. So I'm Raiza here today. Yeah, my inquiry is, Tommy, I has been in long time in a healing journey. I feel today that I have achieved many good things from my healing. You know, I quit my corporate job in 2017, and I took 5-year sabbaticals just to immerse in a deep healing from childhood trauma and relationships and corporate burnout and you name it, everything. I'm coming from an alcoholic family, dysfunctional family. My dad died from alcohol. And actually, I got to the AA rooms to understand my family alcoholic behaviors and my own DNA as alcoholics. And my question to you, if I'm not wrong, you started your journey in your 20s, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, right. So I started my deep healing journey with yoga. You know, I started with yoga, meditation. I quit my corporate job. I sold my house in the US and I went to Rishikesh to start my journey. So I started my journey in Rishikesh. as I said, I quit my corporate job. I received a huge calling when I was in my office, feeling depressed and not being fulfilled, feeling my life doesn't make sense anymore. And I received a big guidance about India. And I called somebody and he said, you go to Rishikesh, India, and you will get your answer. Well, I got my answer. I felt something beautiful that happened in my heart and my soul. I felt I'm missing this community in my life. So just 1 year after that, I quit my job, I sold my house, and I said, I'm gonna go to study yoga for 5 months. So I went to Rishikesh to a 200 hours yoga teacher training, and I went to Bali to another 300 hours yoga teacher training. And that's when my journey started,
Okay.
and I immersed into that, including plant medicine, breath work, and all the holistic. Ayurveda was huge for me to take care of my autoimmune disease and the stress
Yes.
from corporate and life and depression, everything. I did a panchakarma, very, very deep panchakarma for a month and a half. So when I see a lot of my teachers, including my breathwork teachers, they started on their 20s, but I started on my 40s. So I'm feeling like I am behind 20 years. So, and there are emotional wounds that continue, in my life that I don't like. I have the awareness, I have the consciousness, but sometimes I overreact, or there is frustration and there is anger, and I'm like, whoa, after all the healing I have done, why these wounds continue challenging me? And a lot better, I will say that I still have 20% of those wounds that continue challenging me in my relationships. But and then I also have to start my financials from scratch, right? I invested all my money in trainings, in healing, in the best teachers. And that's why I can share what I share today as a breath worker and as a healer, So I'm here with my mind saying, I'm 20 years behind than Tommy. I'm running out of time. So what do you suggest to ensure I do not run out of time to heal those deep-rooted emotional wounds and also build my financials again?
Yes.
And make sure that my life is more manageable,
Beautiful.
that's where I am for you today. So
Beautiful.
I'm running out of time.
Yeah, this is a very powerful inquiry about time. So let me jump in here. I want to explore this a little bit, and then we'll come back and we'll talk again. Okay. Okay. So first of all, it's all perspective. Everything is perspective. I'm going to use a very strange analogy for you. I'm going to use the analogy of gambling. And I have a history of gambling. So here's the psychology. When I begin to gamble, I begin to play for money, something. My goal is to make money. I want to win money. Let's say that I start to lose. I lose money. My goal has now shifted. Now, I just want to get back to even. I just don't want to lose money. My perspective has changed. When I win money, my perspective changes again. I just want to win more money. Depending on where I am in the process of my gambling, my perspective changes drastically. When I break even, I feel very unsatisfied. Again, my perspective has changed. I didn't come here to break even, I will tell myself. My mind, my ego is operating upon me. And as I go through that process of gambling, my mind changes all the time. Not rooted in any truth, not rooted in any spirit, just floating with the experience that I have in the external world. Okay. With regards to time, I could tell you the story of people who are waking up when they're 60 or 70 or 80. I can tell you the story of people who on their deathbed at the end of their life with tremendous regret and tremendous pain wake up to the thing that they wish they had woken up to earlier in their life. And then the most sad of all situations, I can tell you about the countless souls that have come here and left here and not woken up at all. You're in the perspective of somebody who's in your 40s or having woken up in your 40s, and you're looking at the other people that you perceive have woken up in their 20s, and you feel behind. But it's funny how your mind doesn't even look at the people who are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, or who never wake up at all. Your perspective is to see what's missing. It's not your perspective, but it's the perspective of ego. Time-bound consciousness. I'm in time. I'm stuck in time. I have limited time. I'm running out of time. This is the ego, the time-bound consciousness of the ego. So you see, it's all perspective. One of the great teachings that I've taken from India in Rishikesh, which is interesting that your story begins there, or your awakening is the calling you had was to go to Rishikesh, India. We take groups to Rishikesh, India every single year, probably for the same reason you ended up getting called there. And there's a beautiful man there, unbelievable soul, consciousness, human being, named Swami Chidanand Saraswati. And he runs the Paramarth Niketan ashram. He's the spiritual head and director, and he's just an amazing, exalted being. And he says, you don't have to feel behind ever. Whenever you wake up, it's the morning. That's what he always says. Whenever you wake up, it's the morning. And so that this brings a very powerful teaching that we can unpack. We perceive time as past, present, and future. That's how we go through our lives. That is not the nature of time, but that is how we perceive time. There is no past. There is no future. There is only this moment now. As we awaken into the now, the eternal now, the ever-present now, that time-bound consciousness eases up a little bit on its grip. We ease up a little bit on our stress around past, present, and future. We start to develop a relationship and cultivate this relationship with the present moment. In this present moment, truly in this present moment, literally there's no behind and there's no ahead. There's just this, unfolding in time. Only this. There is only this. There has only ever been this. So our perception is to look into the past, into memory, or to look into the present as well as we can see it in our current consciousness state. And from a certain perspective of insecurity or a feeling of lack, the ego starts to compare our experience to other people's experiences. And we can end up in one of three places. We can feel like we are ahead of other people. We can feel like we're behind other people. Or we can feel like we're neck and neck with other people, even. No matter what the conclusion is there, we'll be in that ego state, that time-bound ego state. The consciousness of comparison. And we project the feeling which comes from the thought of I'm behind. And the feeling that comes with that is Stress. Anxiety. I'm behind. I've missed something. I should have done something differently before. And this is one of the great unconscious beliefs that drives our stress pattern. When we look at addiction as a pattern of belief and behavior that no longer serves us, this is one of those patterns. The pattern of, I believe somewhere deep in my conscious or subconscious mind that things should have been different than they were. In that is a lack of acceptance of what was, of what is, and what could be. That lack of acceptance drives stress, drives the pattern of stress. Because if you really believe that things should have been different and could have been different, then you can live in the guilt or the shame that they were not different and you must have done something wrong. Or you can blame somebody else. If you're not going to blame yourself, you can blame somebody else. If they hadn't done what they did to me, or if they had done what they should have done for me, things could have ended up differently. And yet we know as we come present on our path of healing, as we start to work out our resentments, we start to bring ourselves fully into the present moment, we can start to release the past and release our attachment to those old ideas, to those old patterns which truly no longer serve us. And this is how we can become fully present. And in full presence, that feeling of stress drops away. In fact, this is one of the ways you can know, anyone can know they're making progress as a meditator to find the present moment, is if you're making progress, you start to feel better. Your stress level goes down. It may not happen right away, but it will happen. The point is not to remain in these stress patterns for a lifetime, but to grow beyond them. And to put our own thinking under the microscope, to look at it. What am I thinking? Do I believe things should have been different? Could have been different? Why do I believe that? Why is that driving a stress pattern now? How is that helping me? Is it true? And I think we can dash that belief system on the rocks. We can expose it as the untruth that it is. If things could have been different, should have been different, would have been different, they would have been different. If you could have done better, if you could have done something else, you would have. It's like getting on the yoga mat and bending forward to try to touch your toes and realizing at a certain point in time, wow, today I can touch my toes. I'm so glad. I'm so grateful. But I wish I could have done this 10 years ago. If I could have done this 10 years ago, imagine where I could be now. Well, I'd be putting my hands flat on the ground. I'd be putting my forehead right on my shins. I'd have this unbelievable openness in my body. If only I could have. But that is not the way that things unfolded. That is not the way that your karma blossomed into who and how you are today. Who and how you are today is perfect. Divine. Divine. You're in touch with your divine core, your divine self. And that divine self is perfect. If only the mind can step out of the way. Part of our issue is the yeah, but. Yeah, Tommy, this makes sense to me, but. And the minute that but comes in, there we are. We're in unconsciousness again. We've lost the present moment. We're back in the past, projecting anxiously into the future, feeling like things could have or should have been different, rather than coming into full acceptance, stepping into the possibility for gratitude. Acceptance is a precursor to gratitude. If you cannot accept something about the experience you've had, if you cannot integrate it ultimately, it's going to be very difficult to access that energy of gratitude, the force field of gratitude. The force field of gratitude is really all about personal empowerment and sharing that with others. Gratitude is so powerful that we want to bring it into our life. It sounds like, thank you. Thank you. That's the mantra, the great mantra of gratitude. Thank you. Gracias. Merci. All the languages have it. Thank you. I'm so grateful. It's not thank you, but thank you. And for your consideration, it's just thank you. Thank you. Our prayer in Recovery 2.0 is thank you for the joys and challenges of our lives. We say that every single day. And we mean it. This is us training our mind, our brain, our body, our being to learn from the challenges of our life, to recognize it's not personal, but to recognize that these challenges are our lesson plans. They are the things that point out the places we need to look in order to grow, to learn, and to move beyond any of the misconceptions and the confusion and the ignorance that we may carry, which keep us stuck in a time-bound, stressful consciousness. To suggest that the challenges you experience in your behavior need an upgrade is something that I think most of us feel throughout our entire life, no matter how long we've been working. The important thing is that we recognize progress. The first benchmark of progress for the person observing their own behavior is that they are able to catch themselves out of alignment with their goal. When I do something and I recognize, whoa, this is not my best foot forward, I do have to at least concede to myself, this is a positive thing that I'm able to see this today, because there was a day when I could not even see my own behavior. I couldn't even tell I was missing the mark because I didn't have that level of awareness. Today, Tommy Rosen is working on his behavior the same way I have been, however many days, weeks, months, or years I've been working consciously to move into presence. My movement towards presence has not been one and done. It is not, oh, I reached enlightenment and presence and I never had to work on it ever again. For me, it has been much more of an unfolding. Slow, hopefully steady, of an unfolding greater awareness and consciousness of what is. I make mistakes which are appropriate for the level of consciousness where I am today. I used to make mistakes which were bigger and more painful based on what I call lower levels of consciousness that I was stuck in before. Very addictive layers of being, which caused great, great problems for me and for other people. Today, I don't make those same mistakes anymore. But I'm still working on the things that I'm working on today from where I am now. I'm in a body. I have the challenges of getting older and facing what that means for me. For Tommy Rosen, that ego, that personality, and also for me as a man and as a human being in flesh. with all of the challenges and the difficulties and the joys, the temptations, the adventures, the misadventures, everything. And so I could also say to you, my goodness, I thought I should have been further along by now. Wow, I've been working on this all the way since my 20s. I can't believe I'm not there yet. But to be honest with you, that's not how I feel. What I feel is, what is the best thing that can happen today? What could my life be today? What is the opportunity of this moment? Can I be in joy today? Can I face challenge today with grace? Can I watch my tone and my way of showing up in the world and do a little tiny bit better than I did yesterday? I'm not in the discussion about what should have been different in my mind. I'm truly not. I don't have those thoughts anymore. But it is very much an effort to be the best that I can be according to what my spirit, my soul, my heart is asking for. How can I show up in the relationships that I have in a more graceful and powerful way? How can I serve the need of the moment? The need of the moment. This moment now. How can I serve this moment? And that's a better question than I used to ask myself. Like some of the ridiculous questions I used to ask myself might have been, I wonder how I'm going to get high today using chemicals so that I feel better. Not, I wonder what I can do about the fact that I don't feel better. No, this was just, I wonder how I can remove my pain by any means necessary. I don't ask those questions anymore, thank God. Now we're in a better, I would say for me, I'm in a better inquiry. How can I serve the need of the moment? What's necessary here? What's getting in the way of what within me is getting in the way of my own growth, my own journey? If there's something, it will surely show up. And then I have the opportunity to face it. So all it is practice. So one more very practical thing, and then we're going to speak about money. The practical thing is this. It may have taken me 10 years to achieve the first sort of level of healing that took me where I wanted to go. But that does not mean that it's going to take another 10 years for me to become present here and now. Just because you didn't begin in your life in your 20s doesn't mean anything. It is not an indicator of where you could be next week. That consciousness of I'm always behind. It's the to-do list. Everybody has a to-do list that they're never ever going to finish. People who really live by their to-do list and stress on that, that is a kind of addiction. That is a kind of torture also. We do it to ourselves. So your inquiry is so critically important for us to move beyond these ideas that things were supposed to be different. That could keep us stuck for an entire life. Things are how they are in this moment. And your perception of the moment is what indicates the moment and the experience of it. It's your perspective. And if you change your mind, you will have a different perspective of the moment. And beautiful things come from that. With regards to creating abundance in your life, as a healer, as a teacher, also, you're not behind. You have all of these years of experience, and you have the awareness to ask a question so profound as this. Now you set out to help people as you are uniquely suited to help them. Only you can do it, Raiza. There is only one you. No one has ever thought the way you think. Ever. You're totally unique as a human being, while spiritually you're connected to the all in all. There's no limitation. The question that I always ask myself is, how am I uniquely suited to help someone? The answer to your abundance is in there. Because you have experiences in your life that are going to be helpful to other people who have had similar experiences. You will be uniquely suited to help those people. And then there's a whole conversation about the practicality of reaching people, meaning marketing and promoting your services and your offerings, which is very important and very beautiful. You know, in our spiritual circles, I think many people think marketing is a terrible word and a terrible idea. But it's just communicating value. How can I communicate the value of what I'm offering? That's a powerful inquiry. How can I do it so that I reach people who could be helped by the services that I'm offering? So I'm always urging yogis, spiritual seekers, people on the path of discovery. I'm always urging those people to be good communicators. Because you know who are good communicators? The executives at Coca-Cola. The executives from the armed forces. The people who put out products into the world that are not great for people. They're so good at communication and marketing. Well, how about people who have the desire to put products that are good for human beings out into the world? How about we be good at marketing too? So there's a whole discussion there about that. Most importantly, though, you're not behind. It is an illusion to you. It is an illusion, a mind, ego-based, ego-created illusion. And the longer that we stay in that place and think we're behind, the longer we will sap ourselves of the energy necessary to be doing what we could be doing in the here and the now. The only place where the miracle is. As one of my teachers and dear friends, Anand from India, from Rishikesh, also says, there's only one miracle that has ever taken place, and it's never stopped. Now our job is to step into that miracle. And it can only happen here, and it can only happen now. And we have to let go of these thoughts that it's supposed to be something other than what it is. Step into the acceptance of this moment. Step into service to the need of the moment. And the most extraordinary abundance will come to you immediately. Immediately. So whenever you wake up, it's the morning. And so welcome to this morning, now, here. And if we can all live these tenets, we can bring these tenets and embody a presence, embody acceptance, embody a surrender into this present moment, well, this is going to be a much happier, much more loving world. That's where our healing will come from. If we insist on holding on to the past, or we don't find the ways to release the things that keep us there, we'll remain in trauma. will remain in that stuckness, will remain in addictive patterns. And the future will not look bright, but that's a choice. We would choose the path of presence. And we choose this set of tools that brings us present on a daily basis. And as long as we embrace these tools each day, we're pretty much guaranteed slow, steady progress. And if we're coming from this place of centeredness and this place of yoga, meaning connection with self, connection with God, connection with spirit, connection with Pachamama, connection with all of it, if we're coming from that place, we can't fail. We're just in presence, in connection, in the state of yoga. And that's the recommendation of all the sages that have ever lived. No matter what their spiritual path was, it's always the same lessons coming down through different languages and different geographies. It's always the same. So these are the things that come up in this exploration through this incredible inquiry that you've brought to the table here, Raiza. And I'm wondering if you have feedback or anything that's occurred to you as you've been hearing this exploration.
Yes, Tommy, thank you for one more time your powerful teachings. Wow, I'm gonna need the day or a few months to process everything that you have planted in my soul and heart. And you know, it is amazing how I'm able to recognize those seeds of my disease from lacking or thinking that what I have done, it is not enough, and or wanting more, you know. Those are part of, you know, the disease. And reflecting with you here, when I see my life today, I has been so blessed by being healed from so many traumas and the transformation of those wounds into a beautiful purpose. So that transformation, you know, when I think about that, I usually have tears of gratitude.
Yes.
When I read my clients' testimonials and they call me healer or beautiful person or many, many beautiful things that come from them, sometimes my ego comes and that's not you, you know, that's not possible. But today I said, it is possible that I am that person today. And yes, it's all about coming back to the present moment, coming back to gratitude, and telling the ego, no, that's not truth. My truth today, it is that I have a beautiful purpose to share because I was able to heal and I want other people to heal the same way I did.
Yes.
It takes a lot of tears and drama and crises and I always said, you know, my financial, if divine didn't take away from me my finance, my money, my fancy job and car and house, I wouldn't be able to see what I was needing to see to heal because I had too many distractions.
Yes.
And because everything was took away from me so I could become the person I am today, that is the gift. And that is why I'm sitting with you today here. Another blessing. So thank you, Tommy, for one more time reminding me about how my disease continue, you know, interfering in my daily life, which is beautiful today.
Well, my goodness, Raiza, thank you so much for this inquiry. I am seeing it resonate throughout the world to countless people who needed to hear this inquiry today. And thank you for reminding me of deeper presence always And this is our lesson. And we walk each other home, as Ram Dass said. So we're just on the journey, and we're shoulder to shoulder in this thing called In the Circle. And I'm super grateful to you, Raiza. Super grateful. Thank you.